All right. So I just clapped myself. Salutes to everybody in the building. We are back though. I think we should be good to go. Yeah. Let me go ahead and let me post this. Hopefully we get people back. I don't know what just happened, but hopefully we get people back. It's all good though. We gotta live and learn. Kick, I don't know what the hell's up with Kick caused the issue. All right. Salute to Kobe. I see you. Hopefully we can get everybody back up here. If not, it is what it is. Multi-streaming. All right. All right, let me see. Damn. Okay, we cool. All right. Let me know when y'all make it back in here, man. We could chop it up and get back to it. Salute to everybody. I don't know what happened. Salute to everybody. Salute to everybody. Salute to everybody. Let me know when y'all are back. What's going on, Gigi? All right, let me see. Are we on TikTok? Make sure. What's going on? Wait, Lou. Who's that? Salutes to Lou. Was good. Is Kick's crew legit? I don't even know. I ain't gonna lie to you. I ain't been on there. What's going on, Respawn? I haven't been on Kick's crew. I don't even think that's the same company. Papa Q, what's good, Papa Q? Papa Q in the fucking building. Pop, where were you at? I've been live. I just had to shut it down and come back. Where were you at, man? Salutes. Big Money Sonny, man. You got my shit clapped, Big Money Sonny, man. My shit got clapped, Big Money Sonny. No Diddy. Okay, let me see. Where we at with TikTok, man? Salutes. Y'all made it. Y'all made it. Who was in the previous TikTok and then now it's back, by the way? Latest pickup, Trey? I just dropped the video the other day, Trey. You gotta go check it out. Go check out the videos, man. But I'll tell you, man. I got Pine Greens, Camp Gamma 11s. Got a couple things. Isaiah, salutes. Big Money Sonny, you watching the vertical though? You watching the Wait, are you watching the vertical or are you watching the regular? You been working? So I see that TikTok now got this damn like vertical and this simultaneous shit, basically. I gotta watch my language on here. Okay, so this is portrait. The only thing I don't like about that, which I know they were trying to do at least, is that they were supposed to make it to where I can see everything. And I don't know if they do that or not. So I got to see before we get started. We got a little topic, though. Who attacked CM Punk? You talking about the dude that was in the hold on. Who attacked CM Punk? Hey, yo, Lim, are you in the are you on the portrait mode? Austin Theory? What is that extra? What is that? Okay, so that's working, but not Big Money Sonny got the other one. Oh, Austin Theory. Austin Theory. Austin Theory. I know you're talking about. Okay. All right, cool. We got that. All right. We got everything set up. Everything is set up. Everything is set up. Everything is set up. Austin Theory attack. I'm thinking, like you said, Stone Cold Steve Austin. I'm looking. I mean, that the body shape looks about right. The body shape, bro. I was supposed to be going to Survivor Series, but it didn't work out. It's Rhino. All right. Okay, so let's get back to what we were talking about. So before, if you're in here now, salutes to everybody that's in here. Salutes to everybody that's made their way back. We had a good amount of people in, and then I accidentally clapped myself. You know, salutes. Whoa, Trey, you made it. Woo! Salutes to Trey in the building with the motherfucking galaxy. Woo! All right. Thank you. Salute to my TikTok people now. I want to go ahead and reset the floor, talk like we were just talking, kind of get you guys acquainted on what's this whole live stream was about, and go from there. Salute to Yo Love. What's going on? What's going on? Is that Panda? Yo Love, what's going on? Okay, so let me go through and answer a couple of these and we get straight to it. You're gonna say, you know, wrestler, we make a living by what we get, we make a life by what we give. Salutes to Aladdin in the building. Salutes to Lou. Salutes to King Turner, Papa Q, Big Money Sonny, Extra Simple, Lim D300. I see you. Icy Mondo. Salutes to Trey for the goddamn galaxy in this bit. HR Martinez in that bit too. All right, so somebody asked the question, Raising Cane's or Zaxby's? I'm gonna go with Zaxby's. Raising Cane's, I had it not that long ago, but I grew up off Zaxby's, okay? You know, I grew up off the Zaxby's stuff. It is what it is. Now, Austin Theory is what I'm gonna go with on that. I was supposed to make Survivor Series. I unfortunately won't, and that's that. All right, so let's talk a little bit, guys. I saw the documentary Age of Disclosure. Saw it when it released, the day it released. And since I saw that, it kind of opened my mind to a lot of things. And I have been a person always curious and searching for the answers of life. You know, that's just me. I've always been that type of guy. I've always been curious. I've always wanted to know more and understand life. And when it came to like the aliens and all that stuff, like it was always amusing, but because I believed that there was life out there, obviously with space and the fact that there's billions and billions and billions of planets, billions and billions of stars. Stars have billions of planets, and there's billions of stars in the galaxy, and there's billions of it's just so much out there that we could not be alone. It's no possibility to that, right? But the fact is space is humongous. With space being humongous, there's a lot of empty space. There's a lot of empty planets. There's a lot of planets that are just non-habitable, and there's a very low amount that are actually habitable as well, and a lot of low amount that are habitable that are like Earth. But even then, that's just compared to the ratio of how many planets there are. Even with that ratio being a low ratio, there's still like I'm pretty sure millions of them as well. So obviously we know that there's something out there. But that said, the main issue of that has always been travel. How to get to that next planet. Like it's just not possible, you know? It's not possible. Um uh you said 19X or ARP? That's up to you really, bro. I have a 19X. I love it. I love it. So yeah. With that said though, I watched this documentary called Age of Disclosure, and it kind of like definitely put a big interest in my brain for just things going on in our world. You know, a lot of secrets that have been going on in our world, a lot of things that have been going on in the past that we know nothing about. You know, and I want to start sharing that with y'all. You know, hey man, bro, went from shoe reviews to alien researcher. Look, I've always been good at making content that I enjoy. All right. I've been doing sneakers for 10 plus years. I'm gonna still be doing sneakers for 10 plus years. I'm not stopping, so don't think that's the case. But I did that, and I got Tonyd2wild, and that channel's doing good for the most part. I built a career off of that. Started doing firearms. A lot of y'all are here from firearms, and people asking me about firearm stuff, right? Like I'm getting hey, if I keep the trajectory over trajectory, whatever word it would be, if I continue on, I think I might end up being bigger as a content creator in guns than in sneakers. It's looking like that. But I love those two things. Those are two things I enjoy doing. So when I'm enjoying what I'm doing, I'm having a good time. But I have another channel called Too Wild for TV, but we're also streaming on TikTok. We're also streaming on Twitch, and we're going to continue to do that. But we're also streaming there as well. And I don't know, man. I want to kind of like go down that rabbit hole with a lot of you guys, if that's something y'all would be interested in, man. Like it is what it is. Yeah, Corderic. Yeah. Salute. Hey, Corderic, I appreciate you coming back too, bro, because I know I got clapped. I want to look into what you were talking about. Nah, Park Side of the Ring on Hulu. Let me see. Just gonna look this up. Oh, you mean Dark Side of the Ring? Nah, I need to check that out. I recently been strong on Hulu. Like I'm a Netflix guy, but I got free Hulu because of I think I'm on T-Mobile or something like that. And I've been seeing like Hulu starting to look pretty good, especially with YouTube TV getting too goddamn expensive. Hey, real low. I'm thinking about it, man. I'm really thinking about it. Like I'm really thinking about it. That's why I wanted to go live and just talk about it now. I know it's like crazy. But as far as the WCW hat and the people, the wrestling questions and everything, this is like, believe it or not, I grew up on this. I grew up on WCW. My brother and my brothers and them, they were WWF fans. I love WCW. I grew up on that. But I eventually moved over to, I had no choice. But like my favorite time was WCW, N64, WCW versus NWO Revenge. I forgot the first one was WCW versus NWO. What was the World Tour? World Tour. That's what it was. World Tour and then Revenge. Those were my two favorite games. Um Another one I played, and let me just pull this up now that we're here, so we can like at least like yep. All right, cool. Y'all can see. All right, cool. All right, yep. Let me get this down. That way we can. I've been holding this out. Let me get this over here, and then move this. set this up, y'all, for y'all real quick. Can y'all, everybody on TikTok, can y'all see that screen pretty good? That screen look good for y'all? Trying to give y'all as much screen as possible. Okay, yeah, I gotta do it this way. There we go. Bet. Is that screen good for y'all on TikTok? Like we see each other pretty good. We chilling. All right, bet. Cause I small for me, but I have a little smaller screen. But yeah, I was gonna say I grew up on this, bro. So you know, I grew up on this show, not necessarily show, but WCW, Nitro, Monday Nitro, all that. You know, Rey Mysterio, Ultimo Dragon, Goldberg, Sting, Hollywood Hogan, Scott Hall, Kevin Nash, Ric Flair. Yeah, it was a moment, man. The Monday Night Wars, right? I was there. WCW, Eric Bischoff. That was my motion right there. You feel me? But okay, so yeah. So back to what I was saying though. So yeah, man, I watched the Age of Disclosure, and if you guys don't know what Age of Disclosure is, basically, it's a documentary that they weren't nothing extremely groundbreaking, like something crazy, right? It was a lot of stuff that people in the UFO conspiracy theory stuff they already know about, and it's about basically how the government has been hiding information for about, I want to say 80 years now. 80 years of a cover up of alien technology. Now we know about, you might have heard about Roswell and all that, the craft that had crashed in. Apparently it was just a air balloon. Basically, the main thing though is that there are, in fact, and it's been actually declassified. We can show it on here too. There are multiple cases of UAPs. We know them as UFOs, but they have been now changed to the word UAP. And a UAP is, the term UAP is a unidentified anomalous phenomena. Basically a UFO, something that is unidentified, unidentified flying object, unidentified, but they call it a phenomenon that because sometimes these things are going underwater now. They're not always just in the air. Sometimes they're underwater. And there's been multiple of these cases. A lot of the times they are able to later on identify what they are, but sometimes they are unable to identify them, and that's when they remain like that. And one of the big things is this thing called the Tic Tac, which you may have seen on the news. We could pull it up here and talk about it as well. But there was on this Age of Disclosure, what it is different is they had over 30 different people of prominent places within the government speaking about this to a certain level, because a lot of stuff is still classified where they can't speak about it, but there is things where it is declassified or they have the ability to speak on it as well. And basically, man, and we could pull this all up. We could talk about this now and show it to you, but there has been Congress hearings about whistleblowers of people coming out and saying that we have recovered craft, we have recovered remains that are not human but are of an intelligence, and that this is what's going on currently. Yeah, so like then like I started looking into this and just learning about the CIA guys, the CIA, right? The CIA, bruh, has been doing so much shit for the past 80 years. It's insane, bro. It's insane. to the point that we hear about stuff now. You know how like we just got the JFK files and the MLK files and all that. You know, there's things like MK Ultra, Stargate, Project Blue Book, actual things that the CIA were doing back in the 50s and 60s that we are now getting declassified and getting information on. And all this stuff is really stuff that's been kept secret by the CIA. And I can only imagine what is being kept, that like if we took us 80 years to get this type of stuff, what is going to be revealed about what is going on currently right now in 2025, you know, come 2300. We'll be long gone and dead. So it won't even, hopefully by then they got something where we can live longer, but who knows? But it wouldn't even matter that those things are getting declassified to people in 2300 because we already long gone and dead. Ain't nothing we can even do about it, complain about it. But like basically they're saying though is that they're basically saying that, bro, that there's been multiple crashes, landings, exchanges of information, this thing with aliens and the government, and they think that this has been going on also with China and Russia as well. So this is just not an act. This is not just us, but you also got to think about how fast we have came in technology in the past 80 years as well, and it kind of all like somewhat lines up with a lot of this stuff too. It's kind of weird. So one thing, like for instance, right, what shows this is this. So what you're looking at right here is the B-2 bomber, which if you have been following, you've been following anything in the news lately, like this is what was used to go drop those bombs on Iran. And this to y'all in the chat, let me know, right? Does this look like very futuristic, spaceshipy, UFO-y to you? Just quick yes or no. Does this look like kind of advanced? This thing? You know, when does this look like this was made? When does this look like this thing was like, this is like something that was made, what, in what year do you think this was made? You said that's a spaceship. When was this made? If you had to put a year, what you think this was made? Y'all, some of y'all are cheating though. But yeah, exactly though. That's my point though. That's my point. So, but some of y'all cheating and some of y'all just smart. This damn thing was made in 1989. The first flight was in 1989. And this is still one of the most advanced aircrafts to this day. Still one of the most advanced. Still. They actually just made the new one, which was the B-21 or something? I think it's this one. This is the one that's coming after it. So 2026 to 2027. First flight was 2023, so this is the one that they're making after it. But look at this shit, man. Come on, man. This looks like a damn UFO. That's another thing, though. And that's another thing as well, that they think that a lot of the time we see these UAPs or we think we see UFOs. A lot of this stuff could be also, you know, government things that have not came out yet. Things that we're not supposed to know anything about either. So, exactly. That's my point. The Onsen, and that's what he just said is that like a lot of the things that we're seeing now was made 30 years ago, and then the things that are being made right now we won't even see until they won't even be public until 2050. Like it was another one. What's the other one, bro? It was one that looks crazy that it's already retired, bro. It's already like these right here. I think it's these, but it's another one. It's this one right here. The Nighthawk. The Nighthawk. The Nighthawk. This shit. Look at this, bro. think this is it though. Retired in 2008, manufactured introduction in 1983, first flight in 1981. This was made in 1981. This looks crazy, bro. And that's another thing, though, Big Ivan. I didn't even know about that. Do y'all know that Area 51 was just declassified not that long ago? We knew about it. It was known for years, but it was declassified for the very first time in 2013. Publicly acknowledged as an actual area. It's been around since the 50s, 55, spoken about, talked about, said that it was there, said it was around, but never publicly stated. So I'm just giving you guys like some of the things that I've been catching up on and seeing to show you guys. So when we start diving into these things even deeper, you kind of understand where I'm coming from, because this shit has me interested, because there's a lot of, you got to be strong. You got to be strong-minded, because a lot of this stuff can get really deep and really weird and fake, but it's a lot of real stuff. So like one we'll talk about is MK Ultra, right? Let me see. Let me see something. So let's see. We're gonna watch some of this. I think Joe Rogan's pretty good. We're gonna talk about this. If you got anything, feel free to talk in the chat. Matter of fact, hold on. I wanted y'all to get a breakdown of what this MK Ultra, I guess, is. So, and believe it or not, if you're a fan of Stranger Things, MK Ultra kind of plays into that. Like Stranger Things was kind of built off of the MK Ultra thing. The thing we watch at Stranger Things, we think it's a great show and all that. That's actually based off of this actual thing, which was declassified and acknowledged as a real thing that the U.S. was doing in the 50s. I think it was in the 50s, but it's real. It's real. Exactly. We're going to get to that. Yep. Yeah, Valorant Thor. I heard about that one too. As I'm saying, we're going. You said YouTube audio is super low. Is that for y'all too, guys? Oh, my bad. Let's start over. My bad. We here. My bad. Thank you for telling me that. Let's get it.
April 13th, 1953, CIA Director Alan Dulles gave a speech about the dangers of communism and the war of the mind. The federal government was haunted by the fear of communism and believed it spread rapidly at this time because the Soviets mastered the art of mind control. Sandwiched between the aftermath of World War II and the beginnings of the Cold War, intelligence agencies believed foreign brainwashing could indoctrinate the American people.
And here's the thing. You hear this word, the Cold War, right? Like Cold War was a time when basically, the U.S. and Russia were going at it, not as a direct type of war, but We were trying to get to space first. We were trying to get to nuclear bomb, nuclear and power and all that stuff. And some would say that we came out the ones that won that, especially with getting to space and all that, right? But you look at but you see though during that time you got stuff like this going on. The Russians are they saying that the Russians have mastered mind control and all this, right? There's so much stuff that was going on during the Cold War, during Nixon, and this like from the 60s, 50s to the 80s is crazy. Even 90s. 90s though I feel like was like a good time of prosperity. I say that to say though, look at the current atmosphere we're in now. You know, we were in a cold war with Russia back then. Right now, we're kind of in a cold war with Russia and China, like for the superpower of the world. So if they're doing crazy stuff back then because of that pressure, bro, there is stuff going on right now that we just haven't. There's this life. Life is like watching that documentary made me just take a step back and realize that like there's so much stuff we just don't know. And there's so many tinfoil things about like we're living in a simulation and all this and that, which I'm not like sure on that one. But what I'm gonna say is I think we're almost fed a simulation. And what I mean by that is that we're all living, but we're living at the pace of what our government and the world's governments want us to live in. Like, we could be so far ahead if information was given when it was received. And what I mean by that is if there's something out there, we could talk about this in a whole nother topic, but what I'm about to say is very simple. If just think about it, alien came down here and said, I have right here in my hand the keys to where you don't have to no longer pay for gas, or you know this right here that you put in it, you can put it in and you can make a vehicle at your own home and you won't need any type of energy, it's zero energy, like it doesn't, no gas or nothing. Do you think that the government is going to then just get at the people? No. Why not? Because if they did that, every single car industry would just collapse immediately. All the oil money that all the Arabs have, and even us in America drilling and all that, though that whole entire industry would immediately flatline, bro. It would immediately just be gone if the answer to making something that no longer required oil or required fuel to cause transportation, if something was replaced to that. And what it is sometimes it's better to withhold that to continue things how they are. And it's kind of like the saying we say, like, you know, nowadays they don't make things to last. They make things to last for a certain period of time so that it breaks and then you buy the next thing. The same thing with cancer. Like, why they say like cancer medicine is there's never been a cure, because if they find a cure for cancer, a pill that can just cure cancer immediately, think about all the companies that make chemotherapy and radiation. Those companies are going out of business, or they're losing a big chunk of their consumer now because there's a pill out there that just does it one time in one whop, instead of the person that has to go and go and go and go and go, and you could milk them for the rest of their lives. Like, that's the same way I think the technology is. And I think that the government will withhold that in order to have control of money, have control of everything. It's crazy. We're working bees, yep. So I definitely, HIV, yeah, I definitely think that there's a lot more to that. Now, the only thing that I can say, I think it's messed up, all that. But I will say, too, is that if, as some of these whistleblowers are saying that, and they said this in the age of disclosure as well, that the government is withholding stuff because if this stuff comes out, it could lead to World War III. And that from the aspect of there's this thing that they talk about, this gravity warp thing that basically the object that is traveling is not using any sort of propulsion. It's just moving through gravity. And it's able to move at like lightning speeds. And if that technology was then possessed by humans and made available to every human, they said, imagine if someone was to put a bomb in one of these things and ship it to some other country and have it blow up immediately. Like the technology that could be given could cause catastrophic events throughout the whole entire world with other countries that are fighting each other and all that. Like basically, we are not ready for a certain type of technology because we would probably wipe the planet off the face of the earth. Y'all get what I'm saying? Like, there's a reason why when we dropped the atomic bomb, we were like one of the main people that only knew about nuclear weapons, and we tried to keep it that way, and we're still trying to keep it that way. We don't want certain countries having nuclear weapons, because if everybody has nuclear weapons, then a country that gets mad at another country, they go drop a bomb, and it creates, we try to control that, and like, it's scary.
As a result, a classified project was created to emulate the communist mind control programs, effectively fighting fire with fire. There are several speculations as to why MKUltra began, but one fact remains. People in power justified pushing the boundaries of known science and warfare by committing human rights violations under the guise of intelligence. MKUltra's clandestine tests took place in universities, hospitals, prisons, and pharmaceutical centers all across the United States and Canada. One of the most famous testing sites was the Allen Memorial Institute, or the Ravenscrag, at McGill University in Montreal. These top-secret experiments and procedures were led by Sidney Gottlieb, the United States spy master and mad chemist who financed and developed, quote, techniques that would crush the human psyche to the point that it would admit anything. MKUltra was preceded by Project Bluebird and Project Artichoke, two
Project Bluebird and Project Artichoke. These are two projects that were going on before MKUltra even existed. It's like they're going to talk about it probably here where MKUltra is no longer around, but people always say that these things never really fully leave. They just get another name change and keep it moving. Salutes to Fat Boy Kicks. Salutes to Fernando.
Projects originating in the 1940s. The goal of Project Bluebird was to train subjects through hypnosis and behavior modification so that it would be impossible for enemies of the United States to extract vital information. The goal of Project Artichoke was to examine if a human is capable of attempting an assassination without hesitation. Methods used include hypnosis, forced substance addiction, and forced substance withdrawal. MKUltra, the final evolution of its 1940s predecessors, employed a variety of techniques to influence the minds and brains of its subjects, including the covert administration of high doses of psychoactive substances, in most cases LSD, also known as lysergic acid diethylamide, a powerful hallucinogen. This CIA project used a cocktail of chemicals and drugs such as barbiturates, amphetamines, and hallucinogens to put their subjects in a comatose state, while also violently snapping them back to reality. This was carried out by injecting a barbiturate in a subject's arm and then an amphetamine in the other, often resulting in death. One of the main scientists responsible for the horrific practices of MKUltra was Dr. Tonyd2wild Cameron. Cameron invented two medical torture techniques that were repeated until the unwilling subject's mind was effectively broken, though not all subjects received the same treatment or torture. First, Cameron utilized a technique known as psychic driving. Patients were frequently exposed to hundreds of thousands of repeats of a single remark, which would theoretically change their behavior. Then, the subject met the wrath of Cameron's second technique. Depatterning was the chronological successor to psychic driving, which is when the test subject undergoes massive doses of electroconvulsive therapy, combined with equally large doses of psychedelic drugs. One can only imagine what truly happened to some of these people, where they are now, and if they remember anything, if they survived.
Tell me about the acid.
I'd rather not. It's a bad trip. It's a bad trip. That was a bad trip. The pain was so excruciating. Felt like somebody was sticking me with 1,000,000 pins. You know, just everywhere. Oh,
The hell? I'm trying to understand though, like, did they sign up for it, or they just like forced it? How did they get these? Maybe I missed that part in the beginning, but like, I know some of these people were like cancer patients and all that. Like, they were just like, yeah, we want to have you, bro. This dude got some crazy veins on the forehead. That's a real cry. You know he really crying when them veins doing that, boy.
What's up,
With any classified project, intelligence agencies across the globe go through every effort to stay hidden. One
Peep that word, guys. Classified. Classified.
method of cryptic language used by the CIA is known as cryptonyms. A cryptonym is a code name or code word used by the CIA to reference operations, people, projects, or other agencies. All CIA cryptonyms that are now used online were used between the 50s and 80s, which means it is more than likely the entire system has been replaced. All that exists online are partial lists and
What I'm saying, and I'm scared even saying this, bro, but what I'm saying, what I'm learning, what I learned, like, I'm learning it. I'm learning. That's why I'm like, that's why like this stuff is crazy, guys. Like, my brain is like, it's almost like I'm fake. Like, I hate the word, but I'm woke. Like, the CIA, man, fuck the well, I ain't gonna say that, but the FBI, the DOA, the ATF, who else we got? The DOD, all these things, right? All these little agencies, the alphabet boys, right? The CIA, they're the ones that run everything. The CIA runs everything. They're running everything, bro. They're running everything.
probable definitions. There is no way to know for certain the exact meanings and extent of these declassified projects. Each CIA cryptonym has a 2-character prefix known as a digraph, which identifies a region or function, but over time, certain digraphs underwent changes. The Soviet Union digraph, for instance, underwent at least 2 changes. For example, in the 1950s, the Soviet Union was known as AE, but in the 80s, it was PD. The remaining words are either random dictionary words, cryptonyms that occasionally combine to produce dictionary words, like aeroplane, or can be read out
I'm lagging, y'all.
as short phrases, like Wybather, which is pronounced why bother. MK Ultra is a cryptonym that denotes the following: MK equals TSS, or the Technical Services Staff, and Ultra being the highest classification of intelligence during World War II. There are plenty of unidentified cryptonyms, which lends itself to the fact that there is so much information kept from us, and we may never know it.
The monkey puzzle tree.
Elizabeth Nixon is a Canadian writer and journalist who, in 1994, published the novel The Monkey Puzzle, an account of CIA brainwashing trials in Montreal during the 1950s and 60s. The height of MK Ultra. She explains that her mother was under the care of none other than Ewan Cameron. By this time, Cameron was head of the American Psychiatric Association. He had been a friend of Alan Dulles, who, if you remember, is the man responsible for the genesis of MK Ultra. In fact, they shared a long history together, dating back to the Nuremberg trials. In 1977, after President Ford's executive order, under the release of the U.S. Freedom of Information Act, Cameron was discovered to have conducted the most extreme mind control trials, employing massive amounts of shock treatments and drugs such as PCP and LSD. You may be wondering, did Cameron's extreme methods lead to the cure of cancer or Alzheimer's or anything? Well, according to journalist Sid Taylor in an article from 1992, Cameron used a toxin known as Curare in order to debilitate his patients while conducting research. This toxin was used by South American natives to poison their hunting arrows. When applied to the body, it shuts down the neuromuscular system. The article continues by saying, although the patient was prepared by both prolonged sensory isolation, repeated depatterning, and recorded receiving 101 days of psychic driving, no favorable results were obtained.
Bro, they did this man for 101 days. So, like, apparently, like, a lot of these things too, guys, like, what they were trying to do, from what I always understood, was they're trying to, like, basically have control over people to make them carry out assassinations and to carry out like you could have them like a sleeper cell almost too, where you could have them being totally normal, and then with a flick of a switch or something like that, you could pretty much control them and make them just act out on some crazy shit and like kill somebody. It's wild.
So as you can guess, this was around the time Dr. Cameron fashioned his own invasive forms of therapy, explained before as depatterning and psychic driving. Much of this information has only been disclosed relatively recently, since the CIA has admitted to funding human behavior control research at 150 institutions, including 44 universities and a variety of hospitals, prisons, and drug rehab clinics. Remember, these are just the ones declassified.
See, that's what I'm saying. These are just declassified.
In 1953, while attending a CIA retreat, a scientist working for the agency drank a cocktail that had been spiked with LSD. His name was Frank Olson. A few days later, on November 28, 1953, Olson allegedly committed suicide.
Hold on. I need y'all to listen to this story, okay? Because I heard about this one. We locked in, y'all? Pay attention to this one. This one right here is crazy. This is real.
In 1953, while attending a CIA retreat, a scientist working for the agency drank a cocktail that had been spiked with LSD. His name was Frank Olson. A few days later, on November 28, 1953, Olson allegedly committed suicide by falling from the window of a New York City hotel room. 41 years after his death, in 1994, Frank Olson's family decided to have a second autopsy performed. A forensics team discovered injuries on the body that were most likely caused before the fall. Following lengthy legal proceedings, Olson's family was awarded a $750,000 settlement and a personal apology from President Gerald Ford and the then CIA Director William Colby. And the person named for administering the LSD to Frank Olson was none other than Sidney Gottlieb, by this time known as the Black Sorcerer and Dirty Trickster. Ask yourself, if there was zero truth to the conspiracy surrounding Olson's death, why would the sitting president and CIA director give a personal apology? Why would the United States court rule to award Olson's family with what would almost be $9 million in today's money?
They said Buddy, they put some shit in him, made him kill himself. They brought the body out later on as autopsy, and there was no, not like real bruises as if he really killed himself. It was actually, like I said, a brute force on his head. And then later on, you had the president and the director apologizing. Like they basically what they're telling you guys is that CIA killed this man, and then the government's apologizing for it.
The side effects of being a mad scientist like Sidney Gottlieb is being bald, which is why today's video is sponsored by Keeps. Keeps is an online doorstep to recommend free guide, research received, limited message, prevent as you for your specific off your first. That's answering this 1962 novel. College student at /Philion. And thank you to Keeps for sponsoring this video. While a college student at Stanford University, Ken Kesey, author of the 1962 novel One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, volunteered for MK-Ultra LSD experiments. Kesey later went on to promote the drug by hosting acid tests, which were LSD-fueled parties. These parties incorporated drug use with musical performances by bands such as the Grateful Dead, as well as psychedelic effects. These parties influenced the early development of hippie culture and sparked the psychedelic drug scene in the 1960s. The dichotomy of Frank Olson and Ken Kesey is, on one hand, you have a guy who could have been murdered by the CIA because of his involvement with their psychoactive drug testing, while another guy involved in similar testing went on to spark hippie culture. It wasn't just a good time for the hippies, though. Operation Midnight Climax was an MK-Ultra project in which government hired prostitutes, enticed unsuspecting men to CIA safe houses across San Francisco, California, and New York City.
Like, what the fuck is this, bro? Like, that's what I'm saying. This is like, we're hearing operations, bro. These are tests. We're hearing tests and operations. these are legitimate too. Like we're not just like it sounds like, you know, he's breaking it down like a story. Salutes to this individual. These are not fake stories. These are what really went down. Oh shit! TikTok ain't like
CIA would administer LSD through drinks or aerosols to the men and then observe their behavior while crushing a couple of cold ones behind a two-way mirror. It is noted that the program had little oversight and leadership. The agents involved admitted to a loose, party-like atmosphere where they themselves engaged with the prostitutes and used drugs. George White, a CIA agent working under Operation Midnight Climax, wrote to Sidney Gottlieb in 1971, stating, "Of course, I was a very minor missionary, actually a heretic, but I toiled wholeheartedly in the vineyards because it was
fun, fun, fun. Where else could a red-blooded American boy lie, kill, and cheat, steal, deceive, rape, and pillage, with the sanction and blessing of the All-Highest?"
It would be sooner than later that the truth would be revealed, and the intelligence communities would be made to answer for their illegal and inhumane enterprise. You see, in 1972, the Watergate scandal triggered paranoia amongst Washington and the already weary American people. This led to newly appointed CIA Director Richard Helms ordering all MK-Ultra files destroyed, coupled with anecdotal stories such as U.S. Army servicemen spying on civilians spread, eventually culminating in a New York Times article by Seymour Hersh in 1974. Seymour Hersh was already a well-known investigator, as he gained worldwide recognition for covering the Watergate scandal and by exposing the My Lai massacre, for which he was awarded the Pulitzer Prize for International Reporting. Many elected officials, journalists, whistleblowers, and investigators, like Seymour Hersh, were following a rat's trail that eventually led them to an entire den. Hersh's New York Times article claimed the CIA had violated its charter by spying on anti-war activists. His story is credited as a major factor in the establishment of the Church Committee, which was created to investigate illegal federal intelligence operations. However, it ended up taking the combined might of the Church Committee, Pike Committee, and Rockefeller Commission to find the truth of MKUltra, after discovering documents that failed to be destroyed in Helms's purge. These three forces would pressure not only the CIA, but the NSA, FBI, and IRS to answer for any wrongdoing or illegal activity. Thus, in 1976, 3 years after MKUltra was halted, Executive Order 11905 was drafted and signed by President Gerald Ford after the Church Committee and Pike Committee revealed classified information concerning the United States. This executive order would be an effort to outlaw, restructure, and reform much of the intelligence community, creating greater checks and balances to ensure that any and all activities are in conformity with the Constitution and United States laws. Even people to this day are still concerned that this was not enough justice, and that intelligence agencies still work above the law.
I haven't worried about it. Your question again, what would I have thought had I known that
any of these substances would
have been given to
unwitting persons?
You mean a hostile agent of another government?
No, I mean
that was probably one of the things they had in mind.
I mean testing it out on an American citizen.
I guess I must seem very, very cold-blooded about this, but I don't recall ever having been very much preoccupied with that issue.
A national security agency's capability at any time could be turned around on the American people, and no American would have any privacy left, such as the capability to monitor everything. Telephone conversations, telegrams, it doesn't matter. There would be no place to hide. If a dictator ever took over, the NSA could enable it to impose total tyranny, and there would be no way to fight back. Frank Church, founder of the Church Committee. Today, MKUltra methods and stories have been glorified in pop culture. For example, the show Stranger Things is based off of the Montauk Project, which may not be true, but shares great similarities with MKUltra. Themes of mind control, manipulation, and tall men in suits coming to take you away. Another reference is The Truman Show, where, spoiler alert, Jim Carrey as Truman Burbank lives in a fake world constantly being manipulated, recorded, and probably drugged. On social media, conspiracy theorists believe prominent celebrities and figures such as Lady Gaga and Bill Clinton are speculated to have been affected by MK Ultra hypnosis. Though this is from TikTok, so before your eyes melt through your sockets, we'll move on to an astronaut named Heidi Marie Stefansson Piper, who fainted during a press conference, supposedly being hypnotized before she could reveal secrets on UFOs. Though these references to MK Ultra are enjoyable, they are loosely based in reality. A more modern and popular rumor that surrounds MK Ultra is whether or not cult leader Charles Manson was a byproduct of CIA psychoactive substance testing. I mean, you take one look at the guy and you know he's mentally boiled. There was also Ted Kaczynski, known as the Unabomber, who allegedly took part in a Harvard LSD study overseen by the CIA and professor at Harvard University, Henry A. Murray. Ted took part in intense mock interrogations designed to assess limits of psychological breaking points. From 1978 to 1995, the Unabomber would later go on to create increasingly sophisticated bombs and mail them out to people, resulting in 3 people being killed and 23 others injured. It begs the question, was this violence a result of the manipulation and arguable torture Ted endured? There is no way of knowing if the CIA has stopped all illegal domestic activity against civilians. MK Ultra may have evolved or rebranded itself, hidden deep within the CIA web, where no one would dare enter. One can speculate that CIA counterintelligence strategies have become more desperate and covert, adding to the fear that there may be some project out there worse than MK Ultra. After all, science and technology have only advanced since the 1950s. If contemporary projects similar to MK Ultra were to get green lit, they would without a doubt be more effective and efficient.
Yeah, that's wild. So I was learning a little bit about
the Joe Rogan Experience.
I learned a little bit about that as well. So yeah, you know, that's been some of the things I've been kind of going down the pipeline with, man. But I haven't went live in a minute. I wanted to go live and talk to y'all for a little bit about what I've been diving in. And I definitely want to go live and make sure that when we do go live, though, moving forward, that we kind of have our topics and the things in base. So, you know, I definitely was seeing some things about like the Tuskegee thing. I definitely want to check some of that stuff out. So I'm definitely going to be doing that. And we'll be definitely going live a little bit more on this channel throughout the month. All right. And on TikTok and on Twitch and all that as well. So I appreciate y'all. But I'm going to go ahead and end this thing off, man. Take my ass to bed and get back to it tomorrow. I got content to make and videos to do, so I will be back. All right. Love y'all. Appreciate y'all as always, and I will see y'all on the next one. Don't be doing on that MK